Good morning, everybody. So the truth of it is when you love them, they hate you. When you hate them, they love you. When you ghost them, they gotta come find you because they can't handle it. I know that typically from a breakup, you're gonna go back to them several times. Sometimes it's just kind of typical. They say up to like 7 breakups. You really need to stay away from them. But what kind of leads to a lot of this is in these types of relationships is the narcissist and the empath. They really like people with certain wounds. Two things they're attracted to when you're wondering, well, why does the narcissist come to me, or why they keep coming to me? Well, one of it is you have some kind of wounds that are kind of unhealed from childhood. It could be unbeknownst to you, but they see it. You have qualities, and it could even be financial, but it usually starts with your qualities before it gets to a level of monetary. Usually when they meet you, they don't even know what your financial worth is. Usually they're looking at your charisma and the way that you handle yourself, handle things around other people, the way you deal with others, interact with other people. And they like your qualities and your behaviors. So that kind of leads them to get more and more enticed. But with that, typically like attracts like. But in the case of the situation with the empath and the narcissist, it's not like attracts like. I mean, that's why they will get with narcissists sometimes. And usually, generally speaking, I would say when they don't have some sort of a high value empath that's unawoke, they will be with usually people that are garbage. But when they get a person like you, kind of pinch themselves, are kind of lucky to get something like that, and they don't really want to let it go. In the situation where the narcissist ends up with the empath is because your qualities is what they really like and they gravitate to and they get enticed by. But also, in this case, it's your childhood wound and their childhood wound are very similar. You share the same childhood wounds. And typically that's the case. You're from separate families. You could be thousands of miles apart when you grew up as children. But again, just like narcissists are on tracks, like their parents did your parents, and the tracks were the same. So when they were growing up and the damage, the trauma that they received in childhood was very similar to the same as what you received in childhood. And that's the thing. And that's why I always speak on this. At the longer and the more that you get into this topic, and the psychologists and psychotherapists will say, well, it's the trauma that caused them to be narcissists. So you have the same wound. This is textbook now. It's just they never put these two together. It's almost like they compartmentalize. So the narcissist chose the evil route, but they had the same trauma you did, because that's why they're coming to you. Because that's where the like attracts like. And you may not be aware so much of dealt with the childhood wound yet, maybe. And usually narcissist comes to wake you up to dealing with it. In my case, and a lot of other cases, that is the reason. But in the case of narcissists, they don't even sometimes know that they have childhood wounds, or they don't want to discuss them for their whole life. So you have compassion towards them. That's where they say you want to help them. It's in the case of situations like that. You understand that narcissist. Now, you don't understand the way that all the craziness that they act like as an adult now that you've met them. But from being an empath that can read the room, and from getting to know them on the level that you have the ability to somehow have a lot of sympathy and compassion towards them, because you feel them. You feel the pain that they just haven't dealt with. And you understand that. You understand them on that pain level. And so you're willing to, maybe not, that's not the whole reason for you per se, because they have things that initially drag you into. It's a spell, but they have some qualities initially that you are attracted to, and highly attracted to. So I'm not going to bring that part of them down, because they do have the ability to be something special. They chose to go down this route, and now they have this arrested development. And most of the time when you meet a narcissist, all of the glam and all of the charisma and everything and all of the cool fun stories and the fun them is all in the love bombing phase, because after that there's no conversation. There's very little conversation. It's not very deep. And then you realize that these stuff they talked about in the love bomb phase just kind of gets rehearsed over and over again, that they almost have a really good introduction. But from there, there's nothing there. You can tell it was just a facade. And it's because it's, like I said, they're pieces of 1,000 people that they've dealt with throughout their life. It's like putting It's like the 1,000-piece puzzle. A little piece from each person they ever met and dealt with or liked qualities or stole stuff from. And so that's how you get caught up with them. But what I wanted to get at through all this is that you had some sort of abandonment issues in relation to, in the same way the narcissist did. Typically when you get into the point of this, where what you're dealing with is you want to be understood and you want to be kind of validated from the narcissist, and you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that. And so you can end up trying to prove to them who you are. Like they have a you have this feeling that they have a misinterpretation of you, and you want to fix it. You want them to, they're gone. They were breadcrumbing you for a while before they left, and you just kept chasing them. And that's where we talk about getting on the hamster wheel. And you keep getting on that hamster. I'm running faster. Like, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to show them that I'm an alpha male and I'm the best one out there for them. And their opinion of what you believe that they're thinking of you is wrong. And so you want to convince them and prove to them that you are better than that. And you continually get devalued or no validation or not even an acknowledgement that you're even there. And this is where you have like this abandonment issue in childhood. And you may not even realize it if you're new to this, but somebody in your family, one of your care partners, whoever it was, one of them was a narcissist and they didn't validate you and probably had a lot of abandonment issues. You were probably left places as a child, maybe way too long and in bad situations, or dropped off at the park all day and ghosted by your family, your parents and stuff a lot of times, and put in unsafe situations and very much neglected, never validated. And so when you meet the narcissist, they kind of bring all these things back up. And if you sit back and dwell on it for a minute, you're going to realize that these are the same feelings you felt in childhood. Your mother, father, whoever it was. You could do like you could build a house, man, and you could ask them to come look at this house you built with a hammer and nails all by yourself. And they'll come over there and tell you, yeah, it's okay. There's no validation. You're just not going to get it. You know, it's just, I don't like the paint color on it. It could be $1 million home you built by yourself with your bare hands and just hammer and nails, and it's beautiful. It's never going to happen. And so what you're doing is you're continually trying to prove to them. They get you in complete ego is what you're in, if that's the case too. So, you know, you could have even felt like you were in a confident position before you met the narcissist, and now you feel like you've regressed all the way to a high form of codependency to where you can't live without the narcissist now. And I tell you a lot of times that's what the narcissist does. If you have some unhealed wounds, but you kind of covered them up, so to speak, or pushed them under the carpet and you kind of got on with life, and maybe you haven't even realized, you know, where it was coming from, these childhood injuries, but you kind of got on with life, you became independent, you could become very successful. And then the narcissist comes back into your life from, you know, after maybe you had somebody, you know, some new trauma in your life that kind of sparked up, that brought your vibration back down. They always say, you know, your vibration usually gets knocked down, but maybe you could be vulnerable when the narcissist comes back into your life, because it starts to like put chinks in your armor, in your aura. And the narcissist in the spirit realm sees all of this, you know, and then your childhood wounds are easier to be seen, and you're acting different. You're acting more down. And so when you're acting more down and stuff, you know, they don't want somebody completely down, but you could still have a lot to give, but your vibration could be a little low, and you're just susceptible to a parasite or a predator. How about that? You have a lot to give, and they know if they want to get in, this is the time to get in, you know, so they come when you're vulnerable. And maybe you had it, you know, maybe one of your close family members had passed away recently, and then narcissist comes into your life, and it's sometimes because you got on a narc energy to some degree. It pulled your vibration down, and you probably would have built it back up, but you didn't get there in time. The narcissist came along and they swooped you up, scooped you up. When you're with the narcissist, they start to bring you back. I always say that they will regress you back into the state of wearing Pampers and sucking your thumb if you let them. They want you so codependent, and they will do this over time. You'll be on anxiety and depression meds before you know it. you'll gain 100 pounds. Your love will start to turn to bitterness because you don't get no results with the narcissist. Day after day, you could try and you ain't getting no results. That's why I say, you don't really need them. You don't need them. You're successful without them. There's a couple of good things that comes with this though, is the narcissist will wake you up to your childhood injury so that you can now sit back and dwell on these things and deal with it and put this stuff away. When you put it away, it'll end your depression and your anxiety. It'll help you to get your life really on track. It'll bring that independence and clear out any underlying issues of codependence that were brought back into your life as your vibration had gone down. In the future, unfortunately, if you have another injury like that happen again, it may pull your vibration down for a short time, but you're aware of vibration and energy, you're aware of the narcissist, and you're also have dealt with codependency and put it away instead of just covering it up, and this depression, anxiety. So they have a way of flaring and in what do you call it in the body? Inflammation. So, they can inflame any childhood stuff, any childhood wounds that you haven't dealt with, and you have kind of grown past. Maybe you have become successful and you have covered it up with maybe distracting yourself. The narcissist distracts themselves from a lot of their injuries, and so does the empath. So maybe you were drinking a lot to cover it up sometimes, or maybe you would be into sports a lot so you can cover it up, or playing video games when you'd get in those areas where the depression pops up because you have unhealed wounds from childhood. But and then they also wake you up to narcissism so that you can become, all powerful in knowing what you're dealing with. And I'm telling you, you're dealing with entities, negative, dark, demonic entities, and these people that have attached themselves to these people. And these people, so their childhood wounds will never be dealt with because they are in arrested development. And so what I wanted to say to all this is the narcissist, in some respects, it's good they came to you because it will make you stronger in the end. You'll become, if you use this situation, you can use this as a growth situation and a way to educate yourself on your past, because a lot of times we don't know our past like the normies do. The people out there that grew up in regular families, for both the empath and the narcissist, because we had a narcissist and narcissistic people in our family, and then we had enablers. And so between, an empath that's an enabler is almost, they're terrible too, man, because they obey the narcissist. So, you might as well have had two very dysfunctional parents, and they really don't talk about history. Of their childhood. They don't tell you about anything that will help you in life. They're too focused on dealing with distracting themselves from their injuries and maybe using and abusing you, whether they know it or not. And so, but this, if you're an empath and you really are a good individual, then you will have the ability, with all the resources online and everything, you can wake up to what happened in your past and how to deal with it, so you can heal from it and glow up and become better than ever. But you don't need the narcissist. They're a curse, a generational curse. And you're dealing with a generational curse because it says in the word that it goes down from the first, second, third, and fourth generation. And a lot of times people stay under that curse and continue that curse. But some people wake up. There's many different curses, but in the case of your family and my family, this is our generational curse. Meaning, a generational curse is, somebody asked this in the comments the other day. It was on TikTok, but it was, a generational curse is you didn't do anything bad, but you have to pay for it because in your genetics and genealogy, somebody within the last 4 generations of your genealogy, your bloodline that's related to you, has opened doors and allowed these things in. And so unfortunately, you didn't do anything, but you have to pay the price as well. And that's why you want to be careful of what doors that you open that are evil, and things that you do to others around you and that you do yourself. It affects your children all the way down to the 4th generation. And a lot of times they don't even know why. And that's why it's a curse too. It's because a lot of times, a lot of people don't wake up to the curses that are upon their generations. But anyway, that's all. And, get to a point to where you understand that if you want the narcissist, you're under the trauma bond. It's all, a lot of times, an addiction, You may have loved them, but they didn't love you because they can't love. They are transactional, and they don't, normal relationships are reciprocating, and they back each other up. They love each other. They cheerlead each other. They don't hold one another back, but they push one another to be the best and to help them to follow their dreams and their goals in life and to get there. And they don't sabotage them like the narcissist will. They don't hold you down like the narcissist will. They don't commit crimes on you like the narcissist does. But the narcissist is a sick individual, and they have arrested development. They cannot love. And when you cannot love, you cannot really understand humanity at all. And that's why they're so confused. And they're kind of like the track star, you know. The narcissist is like that rap song or that R&B song where it's about, you know, she's a runner, she's a track star. I mean, they're running from relationship to relationship to make sure they can get the next best thing, and so that they'll never be abandoned again. And, you know, in that, behind them, they leave a pathway of destruction to anybody they've known. And they're always running from themselves. They can't sleep. They can't form any healthy relationship. They can't even think about what anybody else is doing except what they're dealing with, because they're running even in their mind. And so I hope this helps you, and, you know, whoever out there. Till next time, soldier up. Peace, we out.